Hello everyone. In today's video, we are going to talk about the topic contamination of foods. We'll be talking about the contamination from various sources such as air, water, soil, sewage, etc. So this topic is an important topic from the point of view of ICAR Net Food Technology exam or any other food safety officer exam of various state or central level that is conducted by FSSAI. So without wasting time, let's start the video. We'll have a brief introduction first. So everything around us, we know that they contain a number of microflora around us. The skin of ours contain a huge number of microbes, same as with the plants and animals, okay? The growing plants, they carry a typical flora of microorganisms on their surfaces and they become contaminated from the outside sources as well. So all the growing plants around us, they contains a huge number of microorganisms on their surface, as well as they are also contaminated from the outside source, such as the soil, water, etc. Same as with the animals, they also have a typical surface flora as well as the intestinal ones. They also give off organisms in the excretions, in their secretions, etc. And they are also similarly like the plants, they are also contaminated from the outside sources as well. So the plants and animals which are suffering from parasitic disease, they carry the pathogen causing the disease. However, the inner healthy tissues of plants and animals, they also have been reported to contain few viable or living microbes. Okay. So it is not just that the plants or animals which are suffering from disease, they only contain the pathogenic microbes. The healthier tissues of the plants are also found to have microbes present in them. Okay. So now, if we talk about contamination from green plants and fruits, so the natural surface flora of plants, they varies with the plant, but usually includes species of Pseudomonas, alcaligens, Flavobacterium, and Macrococcus, and coliforms, and lactic acid bacteria. Okay, so the natural surface flora of plants, they will definitely vary with the different kinds of plants, but the species which are normally present in all of them are Pseudomonas, alcaligens, Flavobacterium, lactic acid bacteria, which may include Lactobacillus brevis and Planetarium. Okay, so the Bacillus species, yeast, and molds, they are also present. Now, the number of bacteria will definitely depend upon the type of plant and its environment, and they may range from a few hundred or thousands per square centimeter of surface to millions. Okay, so the exposed surface of the plant, they also become contaminated from the external sources, like we have talked about. So these external sources could be from soil, water, sewage, air, animals, etc. Okay, so that the microorganisms from these sources, they are also added to the natural flora of the which is already present. Now, some fruits have been found to contain viable microbes in their interiors. Okay, so you can take practical example from life as well. That if you take a very healthy apple or very healthy guava also, then also you can find that there might be viable organisms which could be present inside it. So we cannot pre-assume that okay, the fruit is looking healthy, so it must not be having any microbes inside. So it is definitely not the case that all the healthy fruits and vegetables will be having microbes inside, but you cannot be 100% sure that, yeah, it will not be having because it is healthy. Okay, because there are a number of cases in which the healthy plants or animals also contains the living microbes which could be found in their interiors. Okay, so the normal healthy tomatoes, they have been shown to contain Pseudomonas, coliforms, Acromobacter, Micrococcus, Corynebacterium, and yeast have been found inside undamaged fruits as well. So organisms also have been found in the healthy roots and tubers of vegetables. So now if we talk about the contamination from animals, so the sources of microorganisms from animals, they include the surface flora, the flora of the respiratory tract, and the flora of the gastrointestinal tract. The surface of the microbes, they contain a number of microbes. However, there are microbes which are present internally as well. And there's a flora of respiratory tract, the flora of the gastrointestinal tract, which contains huge population of microbes. The feathers, the feet of poultry, they carry heavy contamination from the similar sources. The skin of many meat animals, they may contain micrococci, staphylococci, or beta hemolytic streptococci. Okay, so the feathers, the feet of the poultry, they may carry microbes from the sources of soil, from water, etc. And their skin of the meat animals, they are also equipped with microbes such as micrococci, streptococci, streptococci, etc. The many infectious disease agents of animals can be transmitted to people via foods. Okay, so if these kind of meat products, when they are consumed by the individuals, humans, they also get equipped with these kind of infectious disease. Okay, and this contamination is transferred to the people through foods. Many of these diseases have been reduced or eliminated by improvement in the animal husbandry, but a listing of agents of animal diseases causing infections from foods would include Brucella, Mycobacterium, tuberculosis, Coxiella, Listeria, Campylobacter, etc. So these many of these diseases, they have been reduced or eliminated in today's era with a number of techniques and improvements in animal husbandry. But then also there is a list of microbes which have the chance of being present. Like they, even though different techniques and technologies are being implemented, then also the chance of contamination is still high because these kind of products, they are having high, they are very nutrient rich and they are easily attacked by the microbes if any kind of fault is being detected, any kind of like if they get a little way out to enter the product, then the contamination could not be stopped. Like if there is a fault in the packaging of any processing method is not being like if the proper processing has not been done, so the microbes, if they get any chance, they would not stop in attacking such kind of products because they are nutrient rich, they have used ample amount of moisture content. So such kind of products, they get easily contaminated by the microbes. Now, animal from the lowest to the highest forms, they contribute their waste and finally their bodies to the soil and water and to the plants growing there. So we all know that all the animal excreta, they finally there it is going into the soil and the water. Okay, so the plants growing there, they would definitely be affected because these animals excreta would definitely have some or other kind of microbes. So little attention has been paid to the direct contamination of foods plant from such kind of sources, except in so far the coliform bacteria or enterococci may be added. So the insects and the birds, they also cause mechanical damage also to the fruits and vegetables, and they introduce microorganisms and they open the way for the microbial spoilage. So the mechanical damage is also one of the crucial criteria on the basis of which the microbes are inserted into the fresh fruits and vegetables. The insects and birds, they are a major source of contamination for the microbial spoilage to occur in the fresh fruits and vegetables. Now, if we talk about contamination from sewage, so when untreated domestic sewage is utilized to fertilize plant crops, there is likelihood that the raw plant food will be contaminated with human pathogens. Okay, so it is not that if you are using the domestic sewage for the plants and animals for the feeding the plants or feeding the animals, then the contamination would not reach to humans because these raw plants and animals would take up those microbes, and when you eat them, then again the transfer of microbes would be to your body. So the use of night soil as a fertilizer still persists in some part of the world, but is rare in the United States. If you talk about night soil refers to the excreta, which is the humans, which are taken from the septic tanks, etc. They are also used as a fertilizer still in some parts of US. Okay, so it should not be done. It should definitely be avoided because human excreta contains a very huge, ample amount of microbes which are very dangerous for humans. Okay, so in addition to the pathogens, the coliform bacteria, anaerobes, enterococci, other intestinal bacteria, and viruses can contaminate the food from this kind of sources. So the pollution from the sewage is very harmful if it is reaching to the plants or the animals are feeding upon such kind of things, and again these animals are being eaten by the individuals, humans. So it is a very what can we say, it is a very bad and very alarming to not use such kind of untreated domestic waste for fertilizing our plants and crops, because we have generally seen that it is a practice that okay, it will act as a fertilizer, so we should use for the growth of plants and crops, but it should be definitely avoided, and such kind of untreated domestic sewage waste should not be used as a fertilizer for the plants and the crops, or even for the animals. They should not be given such kind of untreated sewage, wastewater, or even the waste. Okay, you can see that some of the animals, they are left open and they feed upon these kind of waste which are thrown here and there, and they accumulate diseases because of that, and then again these are uh, uh, further eaten by the individuals, and they develop kind of diseases which are even not recognized by the doctors as well these days. So these are very dangerous and must be avoided. Now, the natural waters contaminated with sewage contribute their microorganisms to shellfish, fish, and the other seafoods. The treated sewage going into the soil or into the water also contains microbes, and it should also be avoided, though it contains a few pathogens. But the treated sewage also contains microbes, and it should be avoided that we should not use such kind of sewage water for the gardening of plants or the crops. Now, if we talk about contamination from soil, the soil contains the greatest variety of microorganisms of any source of contamination. Whenever microbiologists search of new kind of microbes or new strains, they first go for the soil. Okay, so the soil is a home to the numerous number of microbes. Okay, so whenever there is a microbiologist, if he or she wants to get a new kind of microbes, the first and foremost priority is the soil, because they know that the soil is a home to a number of microbes, numerous numbers, and they can definitely get a new strain for the special purpose for which they are requiring, and their first choice is to interrogate the soil for getting the one. Not only numerous kind of microorganisms, but also large total numbers are present in the fertile soils, ready to contaminate the surface of the plant growing on or in them, and the surface of animals roaming over the land. The soil dust is whipped up by the air currents, and the soil particles are carried by the running water to get into the foods. Soil is an important source of heat resistance and spore-forming bacteria. So how do soil contaminate food? On the soil, the plants and the crops they are growing, they can definitely take microbes, from the soil. The soil dust, they are carried here and there because of the running water, and they might enter the food. Okay, so these are the sources through which contamination from soil might enter the food. Now, no attempt will be made, like as I've already said, that the soil is a home to the microbes, so we cannot definitely segregate that, okay, these particular kind of microbes are present in the soil. But however, some of them could be certainly stated that are important microorganisms which come from soil. The important ones are like the Bacillus, Clostridium, Enterobacter, Hysteria, Micrococcus, etc., which I have listed in this PPT. You can go through it. Okay. So Leuconostoc, Acetobacter, and some of the higher bacteria like Actinomycetes and the iron bacteria are also found in the soil. So there are modern methods of food handling, which involves washing the surface of the food and the removal of much of the soil from the surface, and the care is being taken to avoid such kind of contamination that occurs from the soil dust. Now, if we talk about contamination from air, so contamination of food from the air may be important for sanitary as well as the economic reasons. The disease organisms, especially which are causing respiratory infections, may be spread among employees by the air, and the food product may become contaminated. So the total amount of microbes in a food, they may increase because of the contamination from air. So especially if the air is being used, like in the food production, like in some of the cases, such as aeration of the product is also done, as in the growing bread yeast. Although the number of organisms introduced by sedimentation from air usually are negligible, however, in some of the food production or processing methods, the air is also being used. So if that air is contaminated, then definitely there is a high chance that your food will become contaminated and reach to the consumer, and they can cause harm to the humans. Spell organisms may come from air, as may those interfering with food fermentations. Mold spores from air may give trouble in cheese, meat, sweetened condensed milk, and sliced bread and bacon. So if now we'll be talking about the contamination from water. The natural waters, they contain not only their natural flora, but they also contains microorganisms from soil, from animals, from sewage. So water, as you all know, is a major source of pollution now these days, because all the entire sewage, all the dirt, they are being thrown in the waters. Okay. So the natural water is also not fresh. They also are home to the different numerous number of microbes, possibly from the soil, from the animals, from the seaweed, etc. So the surface water in streams or pools and the stored water in lakes and large ponds vary considerably in their microbial content. Okay, and the Groundwater also contains few but a number of microbes. So the groundwater from spring or wells, they have definitely passed through layers of rocks and soils to a definite level. So most of the bacteria as well as the greater part of the suspended materials, they get removed. Then also there are few to several hundred bacteria per liter, per milliliter, which is present in the groundwater as well. So the kinds of bacteria in natural waters, they are chiefly species of Pseudomonas, Chromobacterium, Micrococcus, Bacillus, Streptococcus, etc. So these bacteria in the water surrounding fish and the other sea life establish themselves on the surface and in the intestinal tracts of the sea fauna, and they definitely affects them, the aquatic life, and finally these fishes and these sea creatures, they are consumed by the humans and the contamination reaches to the individuals. Now, we'll be practicing some of the questions so that's to revise whatever we have learned. So the very first question is, the carcass of animals mainly contaminated with. So what are the carcasses of animals mainly contaminated with? So the answer would be salmonella. The answer would be salmonella. Now, next. The number of microorganisms, spelling is wrong, please correct it. The number of microorganisms in air depends upon sunshine, humidity, amount of suspended dust, or all of the above. Yeah, so definitely the answer would be all of the above. During processing, foods can get contaminated because of workers, equipments, packaging materials, or all of them. So the answer would be all of them because during processing the food may get contaminated because of the workers, because of the poor hygiene of the equipments, because of the improper packaging materials or contamination in the packaging materials. Next, water used for soft drinks are treated with sand filters, chlorination, UV rays, or both B and C. Yes, so the answer would be both B and C, that is the sand filters as well as the chlorination. The bacterium causing the surface taint of cheese, Pseudomonas putrescens, comes primarily from water, air, sewage, or soil. So the answer is it comes from water. An important source of heat resistant spore forming bacteria is from. So it is from soil as we have written in this video. Okay. So the coliform bacteria, anaerobes, enterococci, other intestinal bacteria and viruses are generally present in sewage. Mechanical damage to fruits and vegetables by birds open the way to microbial spoilage, chemical spoilage to spread infectious disease, open their way to the microbial spoilage. So that was all about today in today's video. If you like the video, please do like, share, and subscribe to Food Tech Section for more such videos.